Okay. Okay. Hi, my name is Praveen, and I'm a lifestyle coach for the wellness program. This is mainly to prevent type 2 diabetes. I'll be your coach today.
Hello, my name is Aditya. I'm a public health master student assisting in the implementation of this program.
Hello, everyone. My name is Swati, and I'm a lifestyle coach, helping people prevent type 2 diabetes.
All right. So with that, let's try to share. Okay. So as we mentioned before, by this time, you probably already know about the module, various modules that the CDC has created. And we are on module 5, and this is the part 2 section. So let's get into a lot of the calorie tracking. So we wanted to change a little bit. Last time when we went through the material, we found that a lot of the material was mostly meant based on not a South Asian meal. So we tried to do, so let's figure out, how do we, what does a typical South Asian meal look like? And, or even specifically, even it could be even more South Indian meal, more like an Endriva community. But, and then, so we have, so this is our effort to track a day. So we'll get into that soon. But before we get into that, so let's talk about some material that the CDC has provided. Like one is like, how do we make sense of food labels? I think the last class we talked about lasagna and what are all different, what is the calorie intake for lasagna? And, especially the one that you get off the store. And as you can see here, it has 280 calories. The sodium is 37%. And then, watch out for that. And there's a good protein in there. And so with that, I think I wanted to get into like a South Asian meal. And as you guys already know, South Asian meals involve a lot of preparation, and so we wanted to track all the ingredients and put it in there so that way we get like an idea of what it is as well. So, all right, with that, I'll jump to the PowerPoint. So maybe I'll just try to close this. Give me a second. All right, so yeah, so there are different things that, there are food labels. So look at the serving size. That's the size of one serving. All the facts on the label are based on this amount. And, usually the serving size, the package says, this contains, 4 servings. So if you eat the whole package, you need to multiply all the other facts on the label by 4. If you would like to eat half a serving, you would divide the number of, crackers by 2 and use a calculator or your phone if you like. And usually we're good at math, so we should be able to do that in our minds. So. All right, calories. So keeping the amount of calories can help you reach or stay at a healthy weight. Calories are the amount of energy you get from serving of this food. Many Americans or South Asians get more calories than they need. And check with a care professional if you have questions about how many calories you should be eating. And then, limit fat, cholesterol, added sugar, and sodium. So these are the top 4 things that you should look out for, because there's many things that a label has. It even has like the vitamins and all that. So, but try to focus on these. And most Americans get enough or even too much of these nutrients. So eating too much fat, especially saturated fat or trans fat, cholesterol, added sugars, or sodium can raise your risk of certain health problems. These include heart disease, some cancers, and high blood pressure. Try to get less than 30% of your calories from fat. So that's a very good guideline to go with. when you're counting calories, something that you can look into and say, well, am I adding a lot of calories from fat? Because if you're getting 2000 calories and then the 50% of that is from fat, that's actually a no-no. So especially for what you're working on. Get enough fiber, vitamins, and minerals. So most Americans don't get fiber, vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, or iron. So it's interesting for South Asians, especially who are on a vegetarian diet. We would think that we would get a lot of fiber, but it's not the case because a lot of the vegetables, we cook a lot and we remove skin from it. So it ends up being that we don't have a lot of fiber in that. And in terms of vitamin A, C, calcium, or iron, you want to be able to add all those. Recommended is eating a lot of carrots, a lot of oranges, mostly in raw form, and that'll definitely help you, have these, vitamins. So consuming enough of these nutrients can help your health and lower your risk of certain health problems. So all these vitamins are very important because they're kind of like these nutrients are essential for your, for your health. So make sure that you have these at regular times. So for instance, getting enough calcium can help strengthen your bones and teeth. So, and eating plenty of fiber can help you lose weight and lower your cholesterol, because fiber is something that basically helps you flush out all the waste from your body. So, and then there are other ways to find out nutritional facts, and definitely computer apps, smartphone apps, and websites. So feel free to look at a lot of them and then search for it. Okay, so with that, so let's get into this one. As we mentioned before, we have these nutrition facts here. Look at the serving size at the top. You have the cup sizes. It says 4 servings per container. So if you eat all 4 of them, it's basically like 1,000 calories. 4 times 24 to 40, which is like 960 calories. So it's a lot. And look at the vitamin D here. Calcium, potassium, protein. So what they mentioned here is the fat. Make sure that the fat is, total fat should not be more than 30%. So I would recommend you guys to print this and put it on top of your fridge. So you're always good to, keep an eye on this one. All right. So with that, I think I've already read through everything, all the information. I wish I was in this chart instead of that one, but I think it's okay. And then mention about, eat a variety of foods to get the nutrients your body needs, like fruits and vegetables, whole grains, dairy products. Or if you're a vegetarian, there's, eat like a lot of tofu or a lot of paneer, a lot of lentils, and eggs, beans, beans and peas, soy products, unsalted nuts and seeds. So, and then a lot of times, try to soak those nuts and seeds. So you try to get, reduce the oiliness. It's better, easy to digest them. So, and you get into the nuts into a germination phase. So it's actually more healthy for you. One other important thing is having sprouts. Sprouts, you can't stress enough of how any sort of sprouts is good for vegetarian meals, because they have a lot of very good protein that the body needs, especially with the vegetarian diet. Sometimes we're low on protein, so that's a good way to add to that. We get that from lentils, but still, it's always good to have some healthy protein, like right, at the breakfast, around the breakfast time. It could be a good snack for you. So, all right. With that, are there any questions or anything, Swati Garu or Aditya? Anything that you want to mention?
Well, I really like that rule about getting the the caloric value you were mentioning that you should, it should be less than about the fat, the
Mhm.
caloric value that you get in the whole day.
Mhm.
I think that is something which we should stress that.
Mhm.
Can you repeat that caloric value, Praveen Garu?
So I think what they said that you have to try to get like less than 30% of your calories from fat. And when
Yeah.
you do your overall daily calculations, you should also look into the total fat, portion of it, and then try to make sure that that's less than 30% of your calories. So let's say you have 2,000 calories and, your total calories coming from fat should be less than 600 calories. So don't try to a lot of the deep fry stuff, where you can't quite estimate, how much oil gets into your food, or like putting a lot of ghee on there's a lot of adage that, well, ghee, you can eat how much of ghee you want, which is really, I think from a calorie perspective or from a fat perspective, that's not really recommended. You can have some for your taste, but don't put too much of it. And it can add up to the sort of issues. Does that satisfy? Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
All right.
And it's good that it's being stressed so that people know that it should be less than 30% of their total caloric value
Mhm.
per day.
Right. Mhm. Okay, so I think the CDC also gets into we don't have a whole lot of time, so let's try to get into some of that. But it's like a lot of the things, people when they think about I think I'm trying to make this slide show if, a single page mode or something. Well, page display to a single page view. Anyway, yeah, that's fine. So a lot of us have a lot of challenges, right? So we always seem to have all these things like, well, I cannot do that and I cannot do this. So I would recommend, every day, like you put yourself first for at least a few minutes of the day to track your food, and you will learn things about your eating patterns that will make the healthier choice the easy choice. So, but then, there's nothing that you cannot overcome if you have the right, if you have the will, right? So, these are some of the things that, the first step is to actually identify what is it that's actually blocking you from leading a very healthy lifestyle. So, I would recommend, writing these things down, right? Say, hey, these are some sample challenges that the CDC has come up with, and what are some of ways to overcome. And obviously we're all creative, so we have other ways that we can overcome as well. First thing is, I'm too busy, right? I mean, this is like, especially a lot of families, a lot of adults have a lot of things that they're juggling. They have kids, they have elderly parents, they have spouses that they have to take care of. So, and then you have jobs and soccer, taking kids to soccer, those kind of things. So it's just too hard for people to track. And for some people, it's just that they just don't want to track at all. Right? Like, this is not something that I want to do. I want to live my life. But this is, just remember that, by doing this, you're helping yourself by lowering your risk for type 2 diabetes. And as we've reinforced in the past, that the type 2 diabetes is, it's just a very progressive disease that just makes things worse over time. So a few minutes here and there, you can help lead a lifestyle. And just remember the influence that you're having on your family. I just remember, when I started doing this, it really influenced my kids, my wife, that they started, it raised the awareness. So even though, when you make time, your family will make time too. So I think that definitely they'll come around and help you, support you. So I think that you should, you should try to do that. And then one of the other challenges is I have trouble reading and writing. So, you can always use smartphones and then you can record them. I sometimes use my reminders app. I have I just, I just speak to it and say, record 30, grams of, snacks or something. And then it will just go ahead on the calendar, like that. Take a picture of your food. That's always good. Have a food diary, and then you just text it to yourself, and then go back and look at the pictures, and then ask your friends, coaches, and we're here. So if you'd like to take a picture of your food and post it to our WhatsApp group, would love to, give you some advice on some of that, or maybe start a conversation, right? So it's great to have a conversation about your food, because we're all creatures of habit, more than likely that we eat the same kind of food every day. Maybe sometimes we have exceptions. So the foods that we eat, if we can track them, then it will just definitely makes a healthy patterns. So the next thing is I keep forgetting. So I would say with that, make tracking part of your daily routine. Put a reminder on your phone or computer, set a timer. If you use any of the calendars, put a half an hour there, and then just start like writing some notes there. And then ask your friend and family to remind you, but you don't want to add to their stress. So I would recommend, be self-reliant. Some people don't like to track. So, but then, you probably want to share your results with others. And then you can use this tracking to give yourself a small reward for meeting your food goals. You want to ask a friend or a family member to track their food too. And there are many types of apps like MyFitness app and all that. So you could use those as well to track. Okay, so you want to build on the strengths. So I got a lot of done on my phone, so I could, probably take a few minutes to track my food on that. So if you like spreadsheets or email, so what are some strengths? Strengths are, let's say you're good at something, right? And then let's say you have good memory. So use memory to track, or you're good at computers, like I am, for example. I love spreadsheets. So, and then I like to put everything in a spreadsheet. So that could be your thing, right? Or some people like apps. And so just pick up an app and, put it in there. So with that, just identify your strengths. It's kind of building, self-awareness, which is very important. If you want to grow, that, be aware of your strengths and then be aware of your weaknesses. And then if you have a strength, leverage that strength. And then if you like technology, use technology. If you're good at memory, use your memory. So always many ways to actually, solve, the problem, right? So with that, I think, you can kind of read this, and then go for the personal success tool to challenge yourself. And then, and then that will reinforce your understanding. So with that, I guess, let's jump into the presentation that we have prepared. I'm very excited to share what we have learned by tracking our meals. Right. Here we are. Let me bring up that PowerPoint in a second. Okay, so we'll start, this is called Let's Track Calories, and we'll start first with Swati Garu with the breakfast. All right, go ahead, Swati Garu.
So with this breakfast, what I actually used the nutrition labels on the suji, on the oil, and I looked up the nutrition facts of tomatoes and everything. So for the suji, if you look at the raw suji bag, which you get from your Indian stores, it says 1/4 cup serving. So for 1/4 cup, the caloric value was, I think, around 180. I would say it was like, 180 calories. So since I used 3 cups of suji, it came up to 2,160 calories. And I used 3 tablespoons of oil for the seasoning, and 2 medium-sized tomatoes, and then chana dal and cumin and mustard for the seasoning, and some ginger. So when we added all this up, it came up to 2,662 calories approximately, and it actually served 6 people. So all in all, I think it was a pretty healthy and uh, less fat breakfast, and this is pretty filling. So all in all, it's a good start for a day. So you
Excellent.
can take over, Andy. Yeah.
All right, thank you. That looks very yummy. All right, let's go to the next slide. So we'll go over a typical lunch that Aditya ate while he was very busy working on, studying for his program. So go ahead, Aditya.
Yeah, so this is the Trader Joe's vegetable masala burger. Usually it's a set of vegetable masala that sort of goes in between slices of bread. You can add cheese and ketchup on top, and even some veggies like a couple of tomato slices. Some things to watch out for here. One thing is especially the sodium content, which is 18%. And in terms of calories, 2 slices of bread make 138 calories. Then the single slice of pepper jack cheese would be 90 calories, and other calories would add up to roughly 10, while the vegetable masala burger itself is about 140 calories. So in total, that eventually makes 378 calories.
Thank you, Aditya. All right, so let's try to track snacks. And before we get into the snacks, let's track. Oh, well, we'll probably have a snack as well. So let's talk about samosas. You have somebody came, one of your friends came over. So it's like, okay, let's have some samosas. So watch the sodium here. It's actually 10% for sodium. And then the instructions say deep fry for samosas, but just remember it needs sort of deep fry, adds a lot, soaks a lot of oil. So it's very hard to estimate that, because usually when you deep fry, there's some oil left. You might use it another time. You might like get rid of it. It's just very difficult. So we would recommend baking or air frying. For this particular case, use an oil spray or bake as well. And, we're estimating that you would use like a teaspoon of oil for a batch of samosas, which is typically like 10 pieces. It's about roughly around 40 calories. And usually you can just eat 5 pieces. People end up eating like 10 pieces. And so that the total number of calories for that are estimated to be 2 times 100 plus, 40, calories for oil. The total ended up being the 240 calories. Right, with that, let's get into a dinner where I want to show you some ways to measure some of the things that you do. So we have, I have this scale that I use, and then, and this scale, it tops at 200 grams. It's a little hard to track, but first I use a cup, just measure the cup first, which is around 31 grams. This is everything is in, like thousandths of a gram. So then you measure the glass with rice and subtract the glass weight, and then it ends up being 131 grams, which is equivalent of 4.62 ounces. So just remember, I guess we'll do one classes just on tables, one class on cups and ounces and teaspoons and et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's probably coming in the next class. And then this is also equivalent to a 3/4 cup, and the total calories are 170 calories for that. We made like sorakai curry, which is sorakai in Telugu. It's used in Telugu. I think in English it's bottle gourd, right? I think it's bottle gourd. And so the way to make that curry usually is like, I just Google, like I don't have time to track every single ingredient that went into that. So just basically just search for the, recipe and then with the calories in there. And when I measured I used a styrofoam cup because, it's literally like very few, it measures not, 0 grams. So I keep using the same cup, so I'm not really wasting, the styrofoam cups, which, we want to help the, be more green. So, I just wash it and reuse it for my measurements. So the calories for that, the sourkai curry, which actually involves typically, there's some oil, there's some mustard, there's some, some onions and et cetera, et cetera. So with that, it comes to around 170 calories. And then we have radish sambar. It actually has lentils in it, tomatoes in it. And then I looked up a recipe online, and then, the total 100, I use a lot of sambar because, I like to eat more sambar than the actual rice. So this is 114 grams. The total calories is 91. And then the yogurt, I usually finish up my meal with yogurt. So I have some yogurt, about 100 grams. The total calories for that is 71. So with that particular meal, we have, typically you have 2 servings of rice, each 130 grams of cooked rice is 170 calories. The sourkai curry was, I kind of rounded up certain things, like 80 calories. The sambar is 91 calories. And then the yogurt is 71 calories. So usually the servings of rice, I eat like, 1 serving with the curry, 1 with the sambar, and add a little bit of curd to it. So, and then these days I've been adding a lot of carrots and cucumbers. I'm trying to be healthy, learning from the diabetes prevention program, and learning from the program that you need to fill at least half of your plate with vegetables. I'm not there yet, but started with like a fraction of it, with a bunch of carrots, like a big carrot sliced up, and then a cucumber sliced up as well. And I measured them as well. So it's roughly around 30 calories. So the total is around 642 calories. So with that, let's count a whole day. So we have a breakfast of upma with 450 calories, the burger lunch around 378, a thali dinner with 642, the snacks 240. So the total caloric intake is around 1,710 calories, which is, just kind of really, I think, okay, depending upon your weight. If you're, let's say this might not be okay if you're, 120 pound girl versus like if you're it might be more calories for that for her, as opposed to a male who is like 200 pounds. Then for a male that this is actually might be more healthy. So with that, what do you guys think? Does this line up with what you're eating? So I think we would like to see how many how your day went. So yeah. All right, thank you. And so go ahead, Swati Garu or Aditya, do you have any questions or any comments?
So yeah, it was actually a good way that you measured your rice, and so the way you tracked your dinner and snacks. So
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to add that whenever you're cooking, if you pay attention to the labels that come on your raw ingredient packages, you can actually pretty much kind of calculate approximately how much the caloric value is for what you're eating. So it's a good way to actually track what you're eating, because generally when you cook at home, it's very hard to figure out what the caloric value is. So
Yep.
reading the labels of the ingredients is a very good way of calculating how much the total caloric value is that you're intaking.
Yep, that sounds good. I agree. So with that, I think I'll end this recording. And then thank you so much for joining us in our journey. And just if you have any questions or anything, reach out to us. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye. All right. All right.